it's connecting. And oh, you're good.
Okay. Yeah, tell me everything you know about me in like 30 seconds. 10 seconds?
Fire?
I did.
And you lived in a hotel for a while?
I did. I did. A mishap with somebody, and that somebody comes over and sets their back couch on fire on their porch, which then lights your house, your back deck on fire. And you walk outside and there's a dog walker who's up on your porch with your hose putting out the fire on your neighbor's deck, and you're running back inside to get your 3 kids out, your dog, the bunny, and then you run back in to get your laptop and your iPhone because you've got priorities. That pretty much sums up my life.
Anyway. You did get the kids out before you ran back.
I totally got the kids out first. I totally did. I mean, I'm a responsible parent. I am responsible.
At least most of the kids out.
Right, my husband wasn't home, and the other kid that had been living with us was still at camp because her little sister has cancer. It was a whole long mess. But anyway, so I'm Jen. I am a co-pastor of the Slate Project, which is in, well, the pastors live in Baltimore City, and we are a tri-denominational church thingamajig.
Not switching.
Oh.
You know what? I don't think you're. Sorry.
Is the Donegal thing in there?
The numbers not.
Huh.
But it will be in a second.
Okay, cool. Okay, cool.
If you're listening at home, now they're handing out $1,000 bills. You get it, you get it, you get it.
Which is the benefit of coming in person.
So, how did this all happen or occur? Jason Chestnut, there's no T between the S and the nut, is ELCA pastor, and he at the time was serving in Wisconsin, in Madison, Wisconsin, and they had a church that has a lot of endowment and had a long-term pastor. That pastor did not want to leave. They didn't want that pastor to leave, so they said, "Can we give the synod some money, and you guys can start a new church somewhere else?" And so they said, "Well, sure, we'll take your money." So that is what they did. It was a long, bishop way of pressuring, so they didn't take out their current pastor, but they ended up airdropping in, or parachuting in, Jason Chestnut. And so I was introduced to him through a church member who somehow, at my church member at Second, because I served, or do serve at Second Presbyterian, got introduced, and we did a coffee date, and within 3 seconds of meeting him, I said, "Hey, you need to meet my Episcopal friend, Sarah Schiff-Sargoff, who was literally serving 3 churches down from me." So the church between her Cathedral of the Incarnation, which is Episcopal, and Second Presbyterian Church is in fact that church that ended up having to give the money to the synod. So it was an interesting birthing process. So we, all 3 of us, this is a great part. So they sent him down by himself to start a new pastor, right? So a new pastorate. So he didn't know anybody, like no one in Baltimore. He really kind of knew nothing. And that's why we ended up connecting, because I was very well connected, or starting to become very well connected in Baltimore. So we went to this place called the Diz, Sarah, Jason, and I, and we enjoyed. Okay, no one's laughing. That's what you do in Baltimore. And
drink Natty Bo beer.
And drink Natty Bo beer. You do that. He observed one of the things that he noticed and what places he wanted to be was online. So when he was online at coffee shops, all he saw was people looking down at their phones, and he said, "That is where I want to be." So we spent about 4 months from August basically to December, sitting and praying about what was next, and this is in 2013, praying about what is 2012, praying about what is next for us. Starting in January of the next year. And we decided that we really believed and espoused in the church online instead of being the online church. And the play on words and the difference of the words. So this is Dan Webster, and he's Cadence of the Ordinary, and he is one of my bosses. And he is always online. And some people appreciate it, and some people don't. So this is Stuart, and he now is my new boss, which is kind of crazy. So one of the big critiques that we get often or all the time is that all technology is making us antisocial. And so when you see an image like this, it kind of counters it. So staring at our screens isolates us and makes us antisocial. And then when you read what's captioned down below, I just brought my plane ticket home, tell mom I said hi. Last night was fun, thinking about you all day. Just saw the new baby pictures, can't wait to see you this weekend. On my way, should I pick up snacks for the party? So while you're looking at it from the outside, it kind of looks sometimes like you're antisocial. Our argument is actually is connecting us and making us more connected. We have a whole conversation in. I mean, you walk into the Delaware Maryland Senate office and they have like Martin Luther's like all over the place that are like little. I mean, why can't Augsburg Press send us cool stuff, or why can't we get cool stuff from them? They have like these little paper cutouts of Martin Luther that they're sending out, getting all the hype up going on. But the importance of the printing press, right? Reformers made heavy use of the relatively new printing press, so there's swift movement of both ideas and documents. And so our idea, or our thought is, well, what we hold and carry in our phone, carry in our pockets, these phones are like the modern day printing press. And so we should be using this technology to benefit. Even he is online connecting. So we're a 21st century church, as Jackie was saying. Now turn off all your cell phones and don't take any pictures and don't do anything social media related during worship, and don't, and the sign goes on and on and on. We say that is not what we want. Actually, we want people to know and realize that what happens online is real. So one of the things that we often say online is that we don't want to use our online presence as being evangelists. Like, my goal is not a positive public Christian witness online, right? I want to be I want to be a witness that is a positive experience. So you can see a lot of folks who will say, you know, Christians have done, you read the studies, et cetera, read the Bible. We want to prove that all Christians are not Westboro Baptists, right? We want to be a positive Christian influence. There you go. I'm going to run you through right there. Keep going through. I'm just going to go fast. You read it on your own.
That's very good.
So we want to, what we say, what we believe is what you see online matters, right? When you're driving down the street and you see billboards, right? Or like, as I'm always struck every time well, not every time, I hardly ever drive to this area. So every time I see the Mormon temple, I'm always like,
I'm
totally,
always looking for flying monkeys. Wizard of Oz.
right?
Yeah.
The
That's
surrender,
true,
the surrender
yes.
Dorothy sign is gone. It's tragic.
But what we see online on Facebook this week that I was not going to have to write a sermon tomorrow because the end of the world was happening today. And freaking nuts. And it's all over. Well, the people that used to be my Facebook friends have now befriended me. My life before Jesus, my life after Jesus. Isn't it just so spectacular? This stuff annoys the crap out of me. The fact that like the majority of Jesuses that we see are always white, except for Son of God, Son of Man, which is a great movie. So what becomes possible when we recognize that virtual community is real community? Meredith Gould is married to my boss, Dan Webster, and is a good friend of ours in Baltimore. So here's what can happen. Online. So Ramel McCall, he's an Episcopal pastor, as is Kristen Krantz. But what happens when we share positive things rather than negative things? This is a comment we got in Messenger that's perfect, and honestly, I haven't connected with a church community that has had a heart for social justice here, so it's so nice to see what you're doing in the area and what others are doing elsewhere. Another thing. So one of the things that we wanted to do was then figure out how we could put out things that would have a positive impact. And so Lenten practices, the photo day challenge was very popular back when we started doing these re-Lents. So this was during Lent, and what we did was we wanted to like reclaim it and take it to a different or a deeper level. So with this, in this particular Lent, Christ, poor Christ, feminist Christ, and nonviolent Christ, Black Christ. And so not only that week did we drop different picture images and drop different words and do photo collages, but each week we also dropped a different I think of the Black Christ as the one who sees our sufferings.
It's been a long time coming, but I know.
I think of the stories that Jesus, he was in communion with people that others didn't see as fit. And I put that in context now as to the whole Black Lives Matter movement, how people who are crying for justice and equality, instead of just saying, well, what did Jesus do? I think about the Jesus that would be standing amongst those people, holding up the signs. The Jesus that sees those people, sees their suffering, sees their hurt, and does something about it.
So we did short snippets of video that we dropped, and what we quickly realized was that people wanted more, and so we wanted to make sure that when we were dropping stuff on social media that we were dropping it at consistent times and being fully present, right? So that's what ministry is all about. Like ministry is all about like showing up repeatedly so people know that they can trust and rely and depend on you. And so one way you have to do that with social media is making sure that you drop things on the same day when you say you're going to drop things. So we have something called Jesus Coffee Mondays, and that's our weekly blog, and it's focused on different and full disclosure, so Sarah Schisler-Goff, the Episcopal, took a call as a chaplain now of a private Episcopal school. Episcopal, I'm telling you, how many churches they have in Hawaii is like absurd. I think they have a lot of churches. They must have a lot of churches in Hawaii. But one of the things that we realized is that we had to drop everything on the same days, and it needed to be a wide breadth of things. Like having a lot of different people contribute to what you drop really influences how it's shared. And I'll talk a little bit more about that when we talk about Slate Reads and Slate Speak. So something like really simple, You're Welcome Wednesdays. We stole it or took it from Ellen DeGeneres. And it's kind of the whole idea of like correcting theological and biblical misconceptions or teachings. So one of our big ones that got shared a lot was, Revelation. It had There Is No S at the end. Like just stupid things that people either misunderstand or misread. When God created humans in the divine image, they're we also then reclaimed or took TBT. So this is Jason at a wedding. And our idea with taking back a TBT was doing a quote. So we would take this image of Jesus, and over top of it we might put things Jesus wasn't. So we've dropped this a few different times. We just dropped this a couple of weeks ago again. Over 14,000 impressions, so views. So that's just something that we dropped on a Thursday. We do something called Slate Speak Saturdays, and it's a digital sermon of sorts. So we have a few people in our community. Jason's a storyteller. Tracy Radosevich is a storyteller. Stories from the heart. So we do something called Bible Unplugged. We've read Mean Christian Treats. Anyways, you can see all these videos on our Slate Project channel, which is actually quite entertaining. And then we have honest Christian trailers. On Wednesday nights, the Slate Speak Saturdays happens obviously on Saturdays. Slate Reads happens on Wednesday evenings at 8 o'clock, and this is more of like a book group. So right now, we're doing some Celtic wisdom. Christian authors. It's led by a wide variety of folks, right? So our hope with this and with Slate Speak is that by being on Twitter, you really need to have different followers, right? So but we have different types of followers, right? Like 1001 doesn't follow Jason, or the PCUSA doesn't follow Jason, but the Delaware Maryland Synod follows him, and other people follow him. So the more people you have, they're actually leading it and using that hashtag, which is a digital bookmark, the greater your reach actually is, because me or Jason leading it every week, it would only get to those same folks unless other folks retweet it out. But by having a wider base of people leading, you can actually increase and have a bigger or more diverse following. So Slate Speak, that happens. Our community here is legitimately diverse and progressive. We can have anywhere between 60 and 100 people who are actively participating. So participating meaning they either like what someone says, they tweet into the conversation, or they read. Which is a prayer hashtag, is that people use it all throughout the week. So if there's a really cool article or something that someone sees and they think it would appeal to one of these groups, they automatically hashtag it with we're building a bigger and bigger sign on that highway, right? We're showing people that there are other Christians out there that have different views than what they might be hearing or they might be seeing in their own Facebook feeds. We had originally thought, when we were brainstorming or designing the Slate Project, which our whole idea was Christianity without the crap, like wiping the slate clean of all the crap that is kind of built up on it from all the generations. blueprints that Jesus had left on his original worshiping community, right? So he wanted to go back to the church of the 50s, not the 1950s, but the 50s. And what we realized with our community was that we thought that we were going to be reaching really to those who had been burned. Our appeal is like way different. So our online community, which is different than our face-to-face community, our online community, some folks had never set foot in a church because they never felt like they belonged to a church, right? So completely new sheep out there. We have other sheep like they would do church 24/7 if they had that opportunity. And so they want to chime in just because they want to get in any conversation possible. We have a lot of clergy. Serving a small, like, rural congregation, and don't feel like they have people that have the same type of views. But also people that have more of the progressive or maybe the differing views that they have. Who are not Christian at all. They are either Jewish or they're Hindu or they're Buddhist, but they really want to have these ecumenical discussions and talk with other Christians who are open to discussing and chatting with them. Totally not, I think, what we thought we were going to get, but really nothing. So we find the moderators a couple of months out. They moderate the conversation. We chime in and retweet a few different times. We thank them at the end. But really, it's all lay-led. So when you say, like, you know, what can we do? I'm like, this thing is all lay-led. Like, we don't really do anything. Like the Slate Project. So some of the topics. We talked about purity culture, nationalism, patriotism, Christianity, following Jesus, and then and in that police brutality, we do a lot with social justice and Black Lives Matter and protesting, etc. Christian response to the Pulse message. Now is what we're doing right now on social media. We were questioned, or someone said, well, of course people are going to do Slate Speak. It's easy. It's right there in the living room. It's wherever they are. It's wherever they have their phone. Of course. Are gathered in the same room. And we were kind of challenged on that a little bit by by some of our bishops and maybe some of our people who are Presbyterian. And so we said, okay, well, let's do a conference. So we did a Slate Speak IT. And it was a great discussion. We had these three wonderful folks lead us. Cities represented along with 2 countries. We had a guy from South Africa who actually and we say like 16 cities, we had like cities like people from like California, we people from like Washington State, we people from like all over. And it was a really cool testament that people really value. So what they see, what people see matters, right? So we had this, we had a person who tweeted out, if being born gay is an auto sin, quote the right way. And so Jason would like tweet back to her, tweet back to them, saying, the Bible absolutely does not say that being gay is a sin. God created you just the way you are, and you are beloved. And then he wrote, she wrote back, thank you, Jason. So what people see and what they experience and the care that you can administer or that you can give we haven't really dived into or spoken about pastoral care or pastoral self-care when it comes to doing ministry online. Because when you are to take care of yourself when you're on and are engaging in social media, I mean, a pastor in really big issue, especially when it comes down to trolling. Those people that come at you radar, right? So anything that you say, it automatically pops up on their screen and they're ready to go at you for anything and everything. So, so one week we were trending. He was really excited. And he like is all into figuring out like our number of exposures, and he's like, look at 2 million exposures. He's all excited. Again, Presbyterian Church. I did one on Poor Christ. The Presbyterian Church down the street, Roland Park Pres. Been used by Grace Logan Square. I have no idea where that congregation is. That's part of their midweek Bible study. So just everywhere. Okay.
Oh, hello. I'm Jason. I work and a lot of the work that I do is right here. First century printing press.
So one of the things that the Episcopals, even some Presbyterians and the Lutherans really wanted us to do in the beginning was, because we were putting this stuff out, they wanted us to sell it. The Christian gospel to make a buck on it to pay our salaries, but it was to actually just be that positive Christian presence out in the world. And so our big thing was teach other people how to do this well too, right? So this is why we made like this type of video. It's like, well, how do we do this? Someone asked, well, how do you do this? Or why do you do this? Or what do you use? And we're like, well, we can make a quick little video just to give them. I didn't change my picture, but there's Breaking Bread. Breaking Bread is our Monday night in the flesh, face-to-face gathering. So how do I say this without being a complete beat? Our community, from our faith communities, right? From our bodies, from the Episcopals, from the Lutherans, from the Presbyterians. When we were doing an online church, and we knew that online wasn't the only place where we wanted to be, that we also wanted to meet and be face to face. But at the same time, we didn't want to say that they were one and the same. So when we were talking or praying for those 4 months, I said that the thing that is on my heart or my passion is how people in our community in Baltimore City are food insecure and or housing insecure, and how is it that we're meeting and ministering to them. So, there's lots of places that deliver or serve a meal during the day or in the morning, but no one that really serves them at night. Church in New York City. Okay, Episcopal Dinner Church, New York City, Google it, St. Lydia's. They actually now do a waffle church. They do a Sunday brunch. did like a dinner church, and so that's what we did. We did worship and dinner around the table, and so we'll have anywhere between 14 to 25 folks that come and have we used to do a slow cooked meal. Now we do more of a potluck slow cooked meal with gluten-free bread, homemade gluten-free communion bread, and grape juice. Grape juice is pretty counter. When our bishop, our assistant bishop, actually had a big issue with drinking and driving and killed somebody on a bike. You might have heard about that. So then we seemed like we were like cutting edge because we weren't serving wine in more, right. So dinner and worship on the table. And you can't really explain it. So.
So the idea of breaking bread was to create a new worship.
Whatever you have to offer is what we need to make community.
Every week we break the bread, every week we share a meal, every week we have a teaching. Massive experience, everybody gets involved and is asked to bring their full selves to the time together.
Taking on ancient aspects of worship with a vision towards the future, and breaking bread is one piece of that.
So as we say, or we're fond of saying, is that Christ has no online presence but yours, which is Meredith Gould. And so she has, and we actually have a video of this as well, has changed a little bit of the truth. Christ has no online presence but yours, no blog, no Facebook page but yours. Yours are the tweets through which love touches this world. Yours are the posts through which the gospel is shared. Yours are the updates through which hope is revealed. Christ has no online presence but yours, no blog, no Facebook page but yours. And as I close, there are a few more things that we do. We do a weekly Bible study at 8 a.m. at a Black-owned coffee shop. Like we purposely chose not to do it at Starbucks. And then knowing that 1 in 10 folks in our city deal with drug addiction, I also lead a hashtag Recovering Truth spirituality group at a methadone clinic. So that we also can engage some of our folks and have a personal referral for those that come in for our dinner meal to a place where they can, one place where they can seek to get healing from their addictions. So that's a little bit real fast.
Cool.
Yeah, very cool. Thanks, Jim.
Do you have questions? We have about 10 minutes for questions before we'll rotate.
So I will say that being